The fastest way to absorb news is a revolutionary app called Newsreels. I use it all the time to quickly catch up on news by scrolling through the Reels page, similar to an Instagram feed. You can read any story as quickly summarized bullet points. Click the link below to use Newsreels for free. Now, I want to talk about kind of the sideshow. There's always, with every real story, and the situation in Del Rio, Texas, with the Haitian migrants is a very real story. Joe Biden is not putting forth a sort of coherent package of what it is that should happen, and that needs to be done. But there's always a sideshow. And the sideshow here is Fox News reporter Peter Doocy with a bizarre gotcha attempt with Jen Psaki, the White House press secretary, yesterday, focusing on, has Joe Biden been to the border in his life? That's the question. This is just so pathetic. And the problem with this is that it generates the idea that these are sort of like valid questions and the right way to hold the administration accountable. This is just gutter trash. OK, let's take a look at the video.
One more. Has President Biden ever been to the southern border?
In his life?
Yes.
I will have to look back in my history books and check the times he's been to the southern border.
We have been looking all morning, and we cannot find any record of him visiting the border as president, vice president, senator, or even as a concerned citizen. Why would that be?
I can check and see when the last time or when he may have been. But tell me more about why you're asking.
Because this is a president who makes a point when there are disasters in this country, like a wildfire or a hurricane, to go and see for himself firsthand what the needs are of the local community so that he can have an informed POV to make policy. Why doesn't he do that? Why doesn't he go down to Del Rio, Texas and see what's going on?
Well, first of all, Peter, I think the situation at the border is the result of a broken system. And the president certainly relies on his experience. So whether it was the work he did to address root causes as vice president, his efforts when he was in the Senate to support comprehensive immigration reform, steps that at a time were being done and worked toward in a bipartisan way, something that certainly we think should be the case today.
So, the answer from Jen Psaki is okay. But there are real questions here, as we discussed in the last segment. You're opposed to the treatment of the migrants, but at the same time, you're not really improving the sanitation and food situation. But at the same time, these are, at least for now, people who are here illegally. But at the same time, even though you want to be more humane, you're, expelling people without any real analysis of the situation. And it's not really clear what solution you're proposing. And Biden's approval is declining. There's a real situation here that could develop into a very significant drag for Joe Biden. But whether Biden has been to the border is really completely irrelevant. And it also bears mentioning, I guess, that even just going to a location when you're a president doesn't necessarily really do much. I mean, remember when after the hurricanes in, I think it was 2017, when Donald Trump went to Puerto Rico. Oh, wow, he went. Wow, that's great. He shot rolls of paper towels like basketballs and appeared completely insensitive and arguably made things worse by just bringing his whole entourage and team and, the entire apparatus that travels with the president to a place that was trying to recover, still didn't have power back on in many places, etc. So merely going is no big victory. And unfortunately, this counts as like valid journalism among many on the right. This is they see Peter Doocy ask his questions with his, upspeak and bizarre delivery. And they say, wow, he really exposed this administration. No, he really didn't. And particularly in this situation, this is not a natural disaster where you go and tour damage and console victims. This is an immigration situation with complex legal circumstances. What would even be the point of Joe Biden going down there? Like, aside from whether in general a president needs to go somewhere in order to properly deal with the situation, in this particular case, it seems Joe Biden going down there would at minimum add nothing, and at worst possibly even make the situation more complicated. So it's another failed gotcha. But sadly, in this country, given the lack of sort of awareness that so many people have about what are the important political questions and how do we figure out problems in society and in government. This is considered really powerful journalism. And that's probably why Fox News keeps Peter Doocy in the White House press briefing room. What do you think needs to happen on the border with this particular situation? Find me on Twitter at @dpacman and let me know.